What's up guys, it's your boy Brandon here with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about week 7, my fantasy top picks for week 7. And I'm going to be picking from 2 from every position and even defense, everything. So yeah, tune in for my picks. Starting off with Kyler Murray. He continues to play at a high level, scoring 25 plus fantasy points in each of his last 2 games. I like him to keep it up against the Giants, who have allowed more than 20 fantasy points. 20 fantasy points per game to enemy quarterbacks. New York has also surrendered 3 rushing touchdowns to the position, which makes Murray even more attractive. I mean, come on, this dude is crazy. He's hella good. So yeah, he's my top pick right now. So yeah. Okay, moving on to my second pick. Okay, moving on to Josh Allen against the Miami Dolphins. Allen has one of the best schedules among fantasy quarterbacks over the next 5 weeks, and it starts with a home matchup against the Dolphins. And their defense has surrendered 16 total touchdowns, and that's the most fantasy points to the position. So Allen is in a great spot to succeed. He could be available in some shallow leagues too. So if he's on a waiver wire, pick him up, guys. Pick him up. And he's my second pick this week to actually do good among quarterbacks. So if he's free, get him, guys. Seriously. Okay, moving on to the running backs. Okay, my boy Josh Jacobs. I actually have him on my fantasy team, and I'm starting him this week against the Green Bay Packers. So Jacobs should be considered a solid number 2 runner when the Raiders travel to Green Bay Packers to face the Packers. Their defense is like awful against the run, allowing an average of over 5 yards per attempt and over 26 points a game to running backs. As long as their game plan stays the same, there's no issues. Jacob should find success on the ground this week. So I actually have him on my fantasy league, and I'm starting him this week against the Packers. So if you guys have him, please plug and play him this week. I'm telling you guys, for real. So now moving on to my next running back. Okay, so we got Derrick Henry. Now Derrick Henry, he didn't do that great last week, but I expect him to rebound against the Chargers this week. Their defense has surrendered a combined 4 top 10 fantasy backs, including James Conner, leading stat line in week 6. Tennessee should look to establish Henry in their contest, so expect him to make some noise at home. So yes, like he's like we've seen what he did last year against the Jaguars. He's not gonna be that, he's not gonna pull something out like that, but he's gonna be a top 10 fantasy running back this week. So if you guys got him, guys, play him. Okay, now moving on to my wide receivers. So I got Cooper Kupp as my number 1 wide receiver this week. I believe he's going off, and he's going against my Atlanta Falcons, but my Falcons defense have been trash all year. Hopefully we can start fixing things, but I don't think anytime soon. But yeah, so I got Cooper Kupp. Literally, he's gonna be like at least a 1 or 2 top fantasy wide receiver this week. So because the Falcons defense have allowed 7 touchdowns and the 4th most fantasy points to receivers, and Cooper Kupp is clearly their number 1 wide receiver, so he's gonna eat this week, guys. Yeah, Falcons defense not that great, man. So hopefully, they change things around. But yeah, I got Cooper Kupp doing some damage this week. Okay, moving on to the next one. On my second one, I got John Brown against the Miami Dolphins. Brown has produced double digits fantasy points in all but one of his first 5 games. He's in good spot to make it 6 of 7 when he faces the Dolphins. Their defense have allowed 5 touchdowns and the 7th most fantasy points to receivers lined out wide, which is where Brown has run over 75% of his routes this season. And my goodness, everybody seems like, I'm sorry, Dolphin fans, but everybody's been doing work on the Dolphins defense, scoring a lot of points, fantasy points. But yeah, so I got John Brown as, at least to me, top 5 wide receiver this week. So if you guys have him, please plug and play him this week. And trust me, he's gonna eat too this week. So okay, so moving on to my tight ends. Damn, feel like I'm picking on my Atlanta Falcons, but I got Gerald Everett. He didn't do that great last week, but yeah, so obviously, like what I was saying before, my Atlanta defense haven't been great at all. So, I mean, Falcons, who have been giving up an average of 2.8 fantasy points per touch to enemy tight ends. And I don't know, it seems like Jared Goff, he haven't been doing that great either this year. He's been off and on, but he goes to Gerald Everett, and that's like one of Atlanta's weakness is covering the tight ends. So I would stick with him as a number 1 option this week. So, just because of the matchup, the defense is just, like I said, we need some work on our defense. But yeah, so I got him this week. So if you guys have him, plug and play him. If he's on a waiver wire, guys, pick him up, start him this week. Okay, moving on to my next tight end. Moving to the LA Chargers. Now, Hunter Henry returned action last week and made an immediate impact with a pair of touchdown catches and 30 fantasy points. He'll be a solid option this week when Chargers face Titans defense that has allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per touch to enemy Titans this season. Henry could be a free agent in shallow leagues. So if you're in a shallow league, pick him up, guys. If he's free, pick him up, play him this week, because like I said, matchups is key, and this matchup right here is a good matchup for Hunter Henry. So please, if you guys have him, plug and play him. If he's free, pick him up and start him this week. So now, moving on to let's move on to the defense, guys. Defense. So starting off on a defense now, guys. I mean, it's not, anything special, but it's an obvious pick. The Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins continue to be a great matchup target for defenses, and this week's opponent, the Bills, make for a great option. Miami has given up 4.6 sacks per game. They've turned the ball over 11 times. 11 times, guys. And defense have averaged 16.6 fantasy points against them. So everybody who faced them so far averaged 16.6 fantasy points. That's a lot of fantasy points, guys, for defenses. But I mean, the Bills defense are no joke too this year. They're 4-1 for a reason. So yeah, if you guys got the Buffalo Bills defense, start them this week against the Miami Dolphins. Okay, moving on to my next defense. And now moving on to my other defense. The San Francisco 49ers traveling to the Washington Redskins. I mean, we've seen what they did to the high-flying offense Rams last week. But that was crazy. That was a good job for them what they did last week. But yeah, so I got them against the Washington Redskins, as this unit has scored 10 or more fantasy points in 2 straight games. And I mean, Washington hasn't been that great, their offense, but the Skins have turned the ball over 11 times. And the defense have averaged 10.3 points a game against them. So San Fran has a real good, solid defense this year. So Richard Sherman is turning it on this year, so props to him. So yeah, I'd start San Francisco 49ers. And now moving on to my kickers. So Josh Lambo, I got him this week to start. But I know he didn't do that great last week. He only got 6 points. But I got him to rebound this week against the Bengals. No team has allowed more fantasy points to visiting kickers. And they've also allowed the second most field goal makes overall this season. So guys, if you guys have him, start him. If he's on a waiver wire, pick him up, guys, and start him. He's gonna do good against the Cincinnati Bengals this week. So now moving on to my other kicker. Okay, now for the ageless wonder, Adam Vinatieri. Okay, now he started off slow this season, but he has scored 10 or more fantasy points in 2 of his last 3 games. And now he's up against the Texans, who have allowed an average of 10 fantasy points per game to home kickers. And he's on a waiver wire on most leagues. So if he is and you need a kicker, pick him up and play him this week against the Texans. So yeah. Now that is my final fantasy pick for the week. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please click that like button. And if you guys new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I try to upload videos every week for my sports. So give you guys like a good heads up, and you know, if you guys need help, let me know. Yeah, send me comments below. Let me know if you guys need help with anything else. Yeah, so my name is Brandon, and I'm out. Peace.
Soon it won't be long. Keep on, keep on.